The city that never sleeps was sleeping for a little bit.
Who obviously, with Michael, built one of the most legendary parties of all time in the White Party.
Year one was more like, let's invite our friends at this new house you got. But year two, everybody was calling, everybody wanted to show up. People care more about doing their skincare routine at night and getting up in the morning looking fresh than being out at night. The supermodels 20 years ago would be smoking cigarettes and drinking champagne till 4 in the morning, getting up at 6 and didn't care. Taylor Swift can change a room, Drake can change a room, Jay's anywhere, it's a movie. Everybody started drinking tequila. I would say 1942 kind of changed that.
All these different membership clubs.
I'm not gonna lie, to ask somebody to pay something to get into a place was kind of unheard of.
Are there hidden gems in New York? Give me the iconic 5. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Boardroom episode. Today, we are live in Zero Bond in New York City, and I have the privilege and honor to talk to a dear friend of mine, and also one of the hospitality mavens, hospitality moguls of today, my friend, Will Makris.
How you doing?
I'm good, bro. It's funny to be sitting in Zero Bond interviewing you, man.
Feels crazy, actually.
It is crazy. Well, I'm happy to do this. As I told you, I am excited about making hospitality and nightlife a part of Boardroom, and you were the very first person we're speaking to today. So before we start, set the stage a bit. I feel like I do this every time we speak in general, but give me a little bit of the portfolio that is Makris Hospitality today and what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis.
So it's broken up into 2 pieces, mostly the main frame of it. It's one side is with Zero Bond being my partner and I, Scott Sartiano. We have Zero Bond. He also has the Mercer Hotel now. He has Sartiano's, which I also help with / am involved with him, but those are his projects. And then with my other partner, Kobe Levy, I have Cooina Alba. We have Lola Taverna, Little Prince. We just opened Alba in LA, and we're working on a few other things as well. So that's the general gist of it. There's a few other little things here and there, but that's most of the hospitality stuff.
You know, it's funny. It's like there's this phase of my career that feels like everything that brought me to the point of when I ultimately then began starting my business, right? Like I think of everything before. At the time, I felt like I was hustling. I felt like I was working. But in reality, it was all this buildup to what then starts to form your business. The journey I know a little bit about, but your nightlife journey in New York, I remember you obviously from back in the day being at Provocateur, which was a premier nightlife establishment in New York. But you quickly went from that, it felt like, from afar to where you are now, but it wasn't quick, right? The journey's never quick. Tell me how you first kind of got into this business and then what those steps were getting you into that position where you could then start owning your own places.
Yeah, basically, I was always infatuated with nightlife in New York. I mean, I saw things like, you know, whether you were watching a movie or something, you saw some cool scene where they go to the club and you're like, I need to be part of that at some point. So I got introduced to coming out a little bit and getting into places really I probably had no business getting in through some friends I knew that had the relationships, and kind of fell in love with just being out. So I got a chance at a certain point. Funny enough, the guys who owned Provocateur used to own this other place called Stereo, and I got to like sub-promote with this other promoter at the time that was, you know, a fairly big name, and he kind of took me under his wing and I got to go out with them a lot. So that kind of started the trigger of me being out and mixing in with everyone. But like you were saying, Provocateur was kind of the place that really put me on the map, where I was around some of the best people in the world. It became the spot for 2-3 years where everything kind of elevated, and I was more wanted by other hospitality groups by what I was doing there. Yeah. So that's kind of like where it really started getting more interesting. Yeah.
Cooina Alba is a restaurant, Lola a restaurant, Little Prince a restaurant, Zero Bond a membership club, and it felt like while there was Soho House and there was a few others in the city, Zero Bond felt like it kind of kicked off this new wave a bit. When Zero Bond launched, it was like starting to come into form pre-COVID, and then COVID hit. What was getting Zero Bond ready? Like when you start to launch a membership club for you guys, especially at that time when it wasn't so common for everyone in New York, what was the strategy for you guys in building this?
I give all the credit of the idea to Scott. He kind of brought me into it, so I want to give him the shout out for that.
Of course.
We basically sat down. There's a little office downstairs on the ground floor. Him and I sat in there, and to start it all out, we just said, who who would we want to be part of a group of people and a community that we respected, that we grew up with, that could all really come from different aspects of life, different businesses, different parts of entertainment, bring them all under one roof, and who would want to be part of that and join it with us. And I'm not gonna lie, it was not easy because besides Soho House, there was nobody in the business. So to ask somebody to pay something to get into a place at that point in New York was kind of unheard of, except for one thing. Yeah. So everyone kind of looked at us like, why am I paying for this? Why don't you just open it and we'll come? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. So that was kind of a hard thing to get over, on top of the fact that we opened literally in the heart of COVID. So we had a lot of hurdles to start, but that's kind of just how we started. We put a bunch of names together, and Scott and I kind of come from a little bit, he's a little bit of the older generation than I am, and I kind of was more relevant in the younger spot. So our networks didn't always go exactly like this, but they were like this. Yeah. So it really worked well because we kind of covered every aspect and got so many different people of different ages and different groups together in that forum.
But like when you were hosting Provocateur, like you obviously knew you had that knack, right? Like there's people that work at clubs and restaurants that you don't remember. Then there's people that form those relationships, understand like who the important people are in the room. And I would imagine like you had built up this network with the idea that there was going to be something that you could turn on. Prior to Zero Bond, had you opened Little Prince and Lola yet?
So those were actually, I opened Lola with Kobe when it first opened. He had Little Prince already, and I came in after that part, and I really didn't know the restaurant business at all. And truthfully, how it got me to Zero was more working for other hospitality groups, working for Noah, I actually worked for Scott and his partner Richie at the time. Yeah. So I built all the relationships with them as well and got to know all their VIPs and all their celebrity friends and kind of took care of all of them as well, including you, by the way.
Yes,
met you that
thank
way
you,
too.
Man. That's right.
I think that part really helped because once I got to Zero Bond, my book was so big. Yeah. And I just had so many different groups of people. Because even though everyone knows each other, you kind of have that core group of the 10, 20 guys you call for everything. So I got to know everybody's core group and they all got along with me. Yeah. So bringing everyone together was a big part of Zero Bond being created the way it was.
And when you launch it, like the strategy in launching a members club, do you have to kind of tier the way you let members in? Do you start to think about like the diversity of the group, and not just in terms of the makeup, but the types of people and the types of people that will be there all the time, the types of people that you know may not live in New York, but will use it when they come in? And I would imagine part of that is like building the demand as well, right? So as you start letting people in, the idea of knowing that there's people that can't get in and then ultimately do get in, is that one of those things where like you slowly turn the knob and start letting people in as you go?
Yeah, I think you see it now every month. There's a new members club opening at this point. So you kind of see everyone go after the same 1,000, 1,200 people at every place. It's like they want you to be a founding member at every place that opens. And then what ends up happening is those people stay for a year and they come, 2-3 times a week. They'll be there really frequently, especially the first 6 months. Then things tend to trickle out. They go to the new places, the new restaurant that opens, the new members club that opens. And then you kind of have to expand it, right? Because you can't just rely on that group of people. So I think in the beginning, you start with the core group of people who you think that are going to build the brand for you and help you build it as far as you can. And then you expand from there. And not everybody comes forever, and people move away and people get older. Things just happen. Life happens. Yeah. So you just have to kind of adapt and adjust with the times and what you're given.
And just so I'm clear, the membership model, like the revenue that comes in from membership fees is one thing. The real revenue that's generated is from food and beverage, right?
Yes, food and beverage is a big part of it, but when you get that membership fees, that pushes you over the top.
Yeah, that becomes like the annuity.
The margins in food and beverage are so small now. Opening restaurants is more of a passion project as opposed to a moneymaker, unless you're going to sell the whole thing. So it's become very, very tight. So I would say having a membership place that succeeds and being able to have those fees come in will make it so that you can continue to stay open, because the margins are small. Yeah, it's small. Yeah.
So how did this boom happen? Obviously, like in London, membership clubs were always the way, and was how people socialized. But how did this happen so quickly, right? There's Zero Bond, there's Casa Cipriani, there's the 22, Crane Club, Chez Margot, San Vicente. I mean, we could keep going on and on and on. what do you think happened? Like, how did this shift start to happen over the last 4 or 5 years where that became the change in how hospitality existed in New York and really around the country?
I think a form of kind of feeling like a little more secure. I think as COVID happened and people wanted to have a little bit more privacy in their lives or got used to privacy because you were kind of by yourself a lot more, things became a little more secluded. I think having a membership club where we really control who's coming in, that played a big part of it. I also think that when we opened, and definitely Casa Cipriani as well, there was kind of a boom for members clubs in the sense of it was just us and them, and everybody was kind of going back and forth, and it was, you could see it was fun, like we had a thing going. And I think people saw the success of those places and said, well, I know those people, I could do that, I could do a hospitality thing, I could raise some money to do it. I think you're gonna see a lot of them come. I know about at least 10 or 15 more that are being worked on currently. And it's going to be a tough battle to see who survives. It's going to be really, really hard. There's only so many people that can afford so many memberships. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. But if you can get it to work and do the right thing with it, it's an amazing thing.
So what's been the behavior, let's say, of New Yorkers to start in terms of managing all these different membership clubs, and how do these people, because like you said, there is so much overlap with everybody. I mean, there's so many people that it's obviously it's possible, but how are like membership club customers managing this process right now? Are some of them going in waves and you see them cool down, another one pops up?
Are you talking about someone as an actual member?
Well, just like if you're in New York, as you see all of these membership clubs opening, or even as an owner of these membership clubs, how are you managing the idea that so many of them are out there and adjusting business and dealing with like the changing of that landscape every month?
It's a battle. I mean, this year especially, like there's a lot of new places opening. And you're going to get that moment where a lot of your clientele and your membership is going to go see the other places, see what they're about. You also have a lot of people, if someone who's single has been in your place for 3-4 years and nothing's come about and they're still single, you might want to go check out another members club to see what's out there. And it's understandable. I'm a little more social than my partner when it comes to being out and about. So I think I see things a lot differently than maybe he does. I like to be out and about. I like to go see what's new. And I try to be friendly as I can be with everyone. So it's kind of fun to watch and be part of and see what places are where everybody flocks to or what people like about it. And as time changes too, as you know this in your business, you got to keep up with the times, right? The new places that are opening might do something better than I do it, or might do something worse, but you get to learn from everybody else. And I get to see where people fail or where they succeed and what they're doing with their new projects or where they open or how they open or how they do the menu. And we are fortunate enough that we can also adjust our platform here and make it so that we can make it the best to be and continue to be good in the future.
And I would imagine you have to be careful, right? Because there's this long waiting list, and in some ways you could just probably let new members in and generate that revenue, but you have to make sure you don't compromise the brand at all.
100%. I don't think anybody likes going to a place where they can't find a seat or not feel special. Yeah. I think that's something we really focus on. Whoever is part of this community really feels like they're part of it. When you walk in, the waiters generally know who you are. The staff knows what you like to drink. They know where you like to sit. I think that's a big part of having a membership place. Whereas if it's more like cattle, and everybody's just coming in and out, and you don't feel like anything. So I think that's a major part of it, and how you're going to keep people staying.
And private events and that revenue from booking the space out becomes like a real source of revenue for a space as well? For sure.
Private events are the core of, if you can get a good private event business, it changes your entire, your numbers for the year.
So now you guys are opening Zero Bond in Vegas. How do you approach? Vegas is a totally different animal. And obviously, one thing you guys did so well is the brand Zero Bond is so strong, right? Like can live outside of these walls. And not just in a new club, just what the brand represents. So what becomes the strategy a bit different when you go to Vegas?
It's a learning curve. I mean, I'll be honest. I've never lived in Vegas. Scott hasn't lived there, but thankfully enough, to me, we're partnering with the best brand out there in the Wynn, and they know what they're doing. They have a great core group of people that love going to their hotels, love going to their venues, and we just want to continue that that excellence of what they've already have in their house and bring it there. As far as membership, we definitely want to have a core group of people that are local. We definitely want to have the local support. Other, Vegas is the thing where we'll go 3-4 times a year, something like that, for big events, big weekends. But we definitely want to have a core group there and there's a ton of great people in Vegas. We're learning that now, that go there, that live there, that support it, and we want that to be our core. And then you have the LA crowd, you have the New York crowd that's going to come and everywhere else around the country. But we definitely want to have something stationed in Vegas where we really make it a staple in town with the core community that's there already.
Well, that's probably the benefit, because these people from New York, just like us, these people from New York, LA, Miami, London, they're only in Vegas so many times. So you have to serve that high roller and serve that Vegas resident.
100%.
So, and the pricing is different in Vegas?
Pricing's around the same. We don't, even here, we're not trying to charge anything more than what we think is fair. That's another thing I see with some of these fees that places are trying to charge. I think you can outprice yourself very, very fast. Yeah. Our fees are very, very fair. And it's more about getting in and becoming the member as opposed to you having to pay a large sum.
Is the gig up on this founding member fee, man? It's such a joke.
They've gotten us both. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's such a joke, man. They really get to you. They get to your ego by saying you can get in as a founding member. There is absolutely zero that you get from being a founding member in my mind.
I think if you have multiple venues, the founding membership sometimes will give you both memberships.
Yes.
So that can be something, or multiple depending on how big their group is. So that's something that's cool, and maybe they figure out special pricing once you pay that extra large fee to get in at that price. But I think for us, the founding membership was a little different. It was more about, again, it was a community thing. It wasn't about charging people more money. It was like if you were part of the founding group, you would automatically get Vegas with it. Yeah. Or wherever we'd expand to. At the time, we didn't know it was going to be Vegas, but that's changed a little bit as time has passed. It's become more of a monetary thing.
It definitely, but it felt valuable early on with you guys too, because it felt like you were almost carrying the flag for this community that was being built, where now you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, and people came in like, oh, I want to be part of the founding membership because their friends were, or people that they looked up to or respected were part of that. So I think as opposed to a money thing for us, it was more about a little bit of a clout thing and a little bit of a cool thing where you're part of it from the beginning and be part of it with us the whole time.
So talked about Vegas, but these clubs are now opening in Miami and in LA. What is the difference when you see these clubs opening, and what is starting to be like the scene in all of those cities as it relates to membership clubs?
Some of them are just restaurants. I mean, they're restaurants with a membership fee, and that works. And if you do a good enough product and you have good enough food and good enough vibe, I get it. And others, they're more geared towards sports or more geared towards entertainment stuff. So I think it all depends on like their kind of niche of where they want to be. I think if you're let's say you're going for something with entertainment or athletes or things like that, if you want to gear towards that kind of genre, that's great. That's something that you want to focus on. Yeah. And I do see that kind of happening where people want to focus as hard as they can on their niche and what they're good at. For us here, and I do think others try to do this as well, we want it to be kind of for everyone. I want it to have a little bit of everything. And I think that's an important part of building a brand and building something that globally will be respected, because you want the groups from Europe to come see you. You want everyone. And that's something that we always focused on and we always wanted to have as part of our house here.
San Vicente is a very cool brand, right? Like what they did in LA was incredible.
Sure.
They just opened in New York. What else has opened in LA from a membership standpoint? There's Bird Street, right?
Bird Streets. There's this place I actually just went for the first time called Living Room. It's a music-oriented membership club. I thought they did an incredible. It's a really cool build out. And I mean, you go into this one room where they have like each speaker's $1 million, and they really focused on sound and music and quality of sound and what they're doing in that. And I thought it was awesome, And it's cool to see. Different, again, they're focusing on what they wanted to do in that space. So that was another one I really, really liked as well. But Bird Streets is doing incredibly well, and it's another great place in LA.
Yeah, they've built a very cool brand. And you obviously just opened Cooina Alba in LA. It feels like, when I look at some of your peers, it's, you have this membership club in Zero Bond, but then you need like a restaurant brand that's like your flagship, right?
Yeah.
That you're defined by. And I know you have a few other places, but Cooina seems to be what you're starting to be defined by as well from a restaurant standpoint. How's the opening in LA been, and what has that been like opening in LA? I know LA's been notoriously tough for restaurants. So how's this process?
This was notoriously tough.
Yeah.
We were over a year delayed. And then when we were going to open, the fires happened in California. So we kind of had our backs to the wall over and over and over again. The city is not exactly the easiest city to get permits and get things done. So that was another thing that we had problems. But I will say, since we've been open and since we got things rolling, it's been pretty awesome to see LA come out for us. I mean, we are extremely, extremely busy, extremely fortunate to be doing what we're doing. We love the community. I got to tell you, I've never seen other hospitality people support our group like out there, whether it's, the guys from Bird Streets, John and Brian have been incredible. Craig from Craig's has been incredible. Like, these guys have really, I mean, they're checking on me, seeing how I'm doing, sending business. I'm trying to do the same thing back. I've never really been part of that. In New York, it's kind of every man for himself a little more. Obviously, we have our friends that always support, but generally speaking, it's a little more cutthroat. Whereas LA, it's been kind of a really cool thing to see, because people are excited to see something new come from a different place and do well. So it's been pleasantly surprising, and we're extremely fortunate, and we're trying to put out something that's a little different out there in LA.
And you have to spend a lot more time out there, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to split my time as much as I can. I'm going like every couple of weeks. I'm there for a week and come back and forth.
And do you see, like, obviously, like, we've watched Mark and Eugene with Catch build this like incredible brand. It's really amazing to see how big that brand has gotten. Do you see Cooina as the one that you can be a bit more aggressive with in growing and scaling once LA is continuing to operate and succeed?
Yeah, I think you're two cities that really, Mark and Eugene, we used to talk about this all the time, especially Mark, because he's the one that moved to LA. He told me, we built a brand for 10 years in New York. That was an incredible brand, and we didn't get another deal. We opened LA for 6 months. I got Vegas like 2 months later. So I think those things play in part. If you do good in New York and you can succeed in LA as well, you're kind of really proving that you're in the two major cities, and then the doors kind of open a little more. So that's kind of our goal here. I think Alba, from a food standpoint, from a service standpoint, from what we're trying to do and with our staff and the uniqueness of what we're doing with the food out there, it's really starting to carry weight out there. So I think it'll show that we can do this anywhere.
Yep.
And really build the brand to other places.
And do you look at these other places that you and Kobe have as almost like the things that keep you defined as like a New Yorker? As those are your New York establishments?
For sure. I think us taking a space that was never a restaurant before, we kind of took this parking lot and turned it into like this Italian garden, was an important key. But we're really bringing like New York service there, kind of a New York flair to it. The food's a little different. It's not the same Italian, I don't think, as some of the other places, even though there is great Italian in LA. So we tried to definitely bring the New York flair, and we're going to try to carry that wherever else we go as well.
Yeah, you have to. So we mentioned Mark and Eugene. Obviously, there's Noah and Jason and so many of your peers. It feels like, all of these guys, like, and obviously I'm biased because I grew up with all of you, but it feels like that model was new to this generation. Like what you guys, there were people before you clearly, right, that have built restaurant empires and club empires. But it felt like this wave has all been very complimentary of each other. You're all friends with each other. Is there a lot of like game sharing game and game recognized game amongst, obviously Noah and Jason have been doing this for 35 years that you take from each one of these people and that you guys share to one another as you kind of build yours?
Yeah, I got to work with a lot of them. So before Scott was my partner, I worked for him. Yeah. Noah and Jason are incredible at what they do. I'm closer to Noah just because he was the New York guy. And Noah, I talk to Noah a couple times a week. If I have anything to bounce off him, it's amazing what he's done. Yeah. Mark in LA is like my brother. So I have these guys really to bounce all these ideas off of, and if I have any questions or I need help with something, if there's something I can't do and they can do it, or vice versa, we kind of always have an open dialogue to always help each other out. And some of my best friends work for Tao Group, so it's a lot of really fun synergy. You grow up with these guys. We've all been out here for over 20 years now. It's like you become family. Yeah. So we all want to see each other do well. There's really no hater in the group, and everyone's pushing each other to be better. And watching what Mark and Eugene did with Catch, and then watching what Noah and Jason did with Tao is inspiring. It's something that I definitely want to do at some point, with me and my partners.
Do you see young people coming up? Because it's funny, I was talking to Kevin earlier today about this era, right, that they talk about with him and Bron and Steph and Carmelo and D Wade. It feels like we've grown up with all these guys, and there's incredible young players coming up, but you don't know if everything in life is timing or if it can just constantly be replicated, right? Like what Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did into what Michael Jordan did. Those were different versions of what LeBron has done and what Steph and Kevin and these guys have done. Do you see this young generation potentially being able to start mirroring a bit of what you guys did, or is it just changed so drastically that that doesn't exist for this young generation in the same way?
Well, I think there's two sides to this. I think one is we just won't let anything go. Like, if you would ask me 10 years ago, would Noah and Jason still be dominating stuff? I'd be like, no, they would have moved on, and they still are doing what they're doing. And then it's the same guys from when I was young in New York that are still doing it. And I'm like, how is this humanly possible? But it's just they have the drive for it. But I think the major problem for the young groups coming is they see myself or someone where they might see like a form of success, but they don't want to work for it. Like, I had to grind out for 20 plus years. I really only started doing fairly well 5-6 years ago. That was like my time when things really changed. In my 30s, I'm 44 now. It was a grind. I wasn't doing well. I was having my moments of like, the heck am I doing?
Yep.
So when you're in your 20s and you think like, oh, I see what Will's doing, or I see what this guy's doing, or that guy's doing, that takes years of work. You're not just gonna fall on top of that. And because of social media, because of everybody trying to show off so much all the time and how much money I have and what car I'm driving, what apartment I just got, they want that immediately, and that doesn't come immediately unless you got a rich dad, and that's different.
That's a fact.
Which is nice, but you got to work for it, and that's the part where I think we're missing from the younger generation. I don't know if they have that drive to work. They want everything immediately.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what guys actually are like, I'm willing to put that time in.
I think you're spot on, because it's the being on the floor for 12 hours. It's hosting and serving people that you would never in your life want to serve outside of these walls of this venue. It's like Noah and Jason counting cash at the end of every night and managing guest lists. People just want to go from this to this. I think across all of business now, I see that. And I think you're right. Like, so much of it does have to do with social media, of course. It feels like the launch of this membership era in a lot of ways, again, I'm older, so I could be completely wrong in this, but in a lot of ways has cemented officially like the end of like club life in the same way, right? Like when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was like you started somewhere and you went to a club, you were there till 4 or 5 in the morning, and maybe you went to another club. Membership clubs, like we never knew anything about that. I mean, I remember when we go to Soho House, you had to have somebody that you knew, and you'd leave as many names as you could at the door.
We all had a Soho House. Yeah. Sorry, Ron.
Yeah, we all had the same hustle at Soho House. You start calling someone who's not even in town, see if they can call and leave 10 names down. But that was our era, right? Club life. Where's the club life now in New York, LA? Obviously, Vegas is a different animal, right? Vegas will always have clubs. But is that completely changed?
I would have agreed with you a couple months ago and said yes, and it has completely changed, because I do feel like myself at my age, I like going to the different members clubs and where I'm a member and where they know me, and it's kind of just easier to do that during the night. But I have seen a little bit of a shift recently where younger people are definitely wanting to like go out and party and go to like real nightclubs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of refreshing, because I thought that was dead for a minute. And I was like, okay, that's going to disappear. You always get the festival dancing and the festival times and all that stuff, or the Brooklyn raves and things like that. That wasn't going anywhere. But now in New York, people are actually, they'll go to the members clubs, they'll do that till 1:30, 1:45, and then they're like, okay, where can we go out and really party? So let's hope at some point it comes back, because it'd be nice to have that part of New York. The city that never sleeps was sleeping for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm noticing more and more where the nights are getting a little bit later, and you hear about we were out to this place till 4:35, and I'm like, what? You know, it's coming back a little bit. So I hope that's a change that happens for sure.
Do you miss that golden age in New York City?
Yes.
You
I also
do,
miss
right?
having to go to one venue that as long as you
know.
could get in it. It's like Butter Mondays. It's like, where else was I going on a Monday?
was the
Maybe
best.
Bungalow 8 late night, but that was
Yep.
it. You were done. Like, if you didn't get in there, you go home.
Yep.
I miss those days where everybody was in one place, or like every guy you knew all worked for one person, and it was all kind of.
It was incredible.
It was the golden age of being out, and I was fortunate enough to be part of that and see that. Especially, I was really, really young, but it was cool to be part of that, and I do miss those days for sure. I know you do too.
I do miss those days, man. It was very easy to manage your schedule from a going out perspective. You knew who you were going to see. And it feels like, even though there's so much connectivity with social media, I would imagine that like you're not going to literally reach out to everybody, especially now that I've gotten older, to figure out where everybody is. And that's what I worry about with these members clubs, because in the beginning of Zero Bond, when I was like, all right, I'm going out tonight, I knew if I went to Zero Bond, I'd be able to get a fix of everyone I wanted to see for a while. But I mean, listen, that we may be old, and that's why we're saying that was the golden age, because I'm sure young people think they're living in the golden age, and the generation before us and the Studio 54 people that are still alive still talk about like we have no idea what it was like going out in those days. With that in mind, give me like top crazy night, one of the craziest nights you've ever had in nightlife.
This isn't really a nightlife thing, but more of just a party experience. I would say when year 2 of the white party happened, where year 1 was more like, let's invite our friends and do a fun party in the Hamptons at this new house you got and kind of thing. And a few celebrities came, and we were friends with some celebrity people and they came. But year 2 was kind of like putting everything on the map, where everybody was calling, everybody wanted to show up. And being at his house on the roof with like the fireworks going and seeing performances by incredible people and seeing all that kind of come to, we had 1,000 calls about it, and we're trying to get everybody set up to get this person there and that person. To see that all come together, I'd never been a part of something that big, that kind of like was on every news front and every social media platform. And to be part of it, to see it all really just happen exactly how we wanted it to happen and more, was something that was like beyond special for me. And afterwards, for people to stay at a place for 12 hours, which is impossible to do these days. You can't get people to stay like a half hour. To have people stay all night and just kind of let loose and enjoy themselves and have something of a special night with everyone come together was really, really cool.
How much of this for you, and I think, I talked to you about this a lot through the years. I think you've done an incredible job. I think in building a business today, storytelling and the narrative you create for yourself, for your brand, is so important. And I don't think you could have had that success with your venues if you weren't at the same time being very strategic in how you were building the brand that was you and the restaurants to follow. Did you realize that started to become something that you were going to have to do? It also is a sign of this today and social media, but you really were able to take yourself from someone that like everyone knew in New York City to somebody that like, if you're in film, sport, hospitality, real estate, everybody knows you in general and have built that persona for yourself. And a lot of those peers as well have to have that. How important is that in this business now in terms of building that brand and story about yourself?
I think it's the most important. I'm not the most skilled operator. I'm actually a non-operator, honestly. That's the honest truth. A lot of what I've done is based on being as nice of a person as I can be and having a good personality and building from there. Having an identity bigger than you a little bit and being around people that are bigger than you and building around that is the key to everything. I know now if I'm doing something, I know who's going to support me. I know the support group behind my back at all times. So it's a large part of it. It kind of, the last few years, that's becoming a brand on your own is really the key to it. It's what people are going to follow and what people want to see.
Are there hidden gems in New York that you still will go out to that have no brand around them, have no face to it, but that are like your go-to spots?
Yeah. Do you consider Bar PD not having really an idea? Like,
it's got a brand.
It does have a brand. I mean, it has one, right? Did he ever open anything else? I don't think so.
No.
But like places like that, like for me, they're like just such New York staples. I'm trying to think of other places I love going to. There's so many in like Soho and just these random places like you've been going for forever.
Yeah,
You just
your
always-
neighborhood place.
Yeah, you always just go to them and you enjoy them, and that's a great part about New York.
We talked about club life coming back, but has that like bottle service era? It felt like bottle service, right? Like back in the day, you go to a club, and if you had somebody that was going to sit with you that was going to buy bottles, they were your best friend for the night, right? And whoever was buying bottles got the attention for the evening, and obviously, at Provocateur, that was a big part of it. That was everything, right? Is bottle service from that standpoint still alive in the same way?
It is in certain places. I think from a cool standpoint, it's a zero. I don't think buying bottles makes you cool anymore.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
If someone was known as a spender in New York, you knew everybody was going to like show up to this guy's table every night, like try to be his best friend because they want him to buy the table every night. Yeah. So I think those days are kind of over, or at least for now they are. But I think in the last couple of years it became like uncool almost to buy bottles at a thing. It was like cooler to like buy drinks and just sit somewhere and someone take care of you. But it always serves its purpose. I think with the big DJs having a really, really big rally now and coming back even stronger than I've seen in a long time, there's always the use for bottle service and buying your table and getting it for those. So I think it depends on the situation. But more for basic nights, no. I don't think it's
I want to get to DJ culture in a second, but it feels like it also has to do a little bit, and this I've seen well documented about liquor sales down in general. People are drinking less. Do you see that at clubs?
Yeah, you see a rise in restaurants with mocktails.
Yeah,
where people are drinking those, and yeah, people are drinking less. People care more about doing their skincare routine at night and getting up in the morning looking fresh and doing videos on that than being out at night. The supermodels 20 years ago would be smoking cigarettes and drinking champagne till 3:30, 4 in the morning, getting up at 6 and didn't care.
Yeah.
That's not the way things work anymore. If a girl doesn't have her skincare routine, she ain't working tomorrow. Like the day's over.
Yeah.
It's over. So I think that's also something that changed. People, quality of life has become a lot more important, I would say, the last 5-10 years. Taking care of yourself, looking young, feeling young. Yeah. Is a big part of things. So I think that also plays into the part where people don't always want to be out all the time.
And what happened to champagne, man? I feel like no one drinks champagne anymore.
It's still around. I think it's still there.
For real?
Yeah, it's not like it was. I think wine's become a much bigger thing.
And like if you when you had a table of girls and the guy who's buying the bottle, right? Champagne was what everyone was drinking. I feel like tequila might have switched that up a bit.
Tequila kind of switched everything. Kind of took over for vodka. When I would say 1942 kind of changed that.
It did.
Period where everybody started drinking tequila. But you're right. I don't see champagne as much on tables or being bought. Generally, someone's buying it to like fill out a minimum to get for the night, as opposed to actually enjoying it.
Remember when we thought Patron was the greatest tequila in the world?
I remember as a promoter, like Noah upgraded me from like the $4 tequila that they give like every promoter to the Patron. I thought I was, killing it.
When you ordered it, you thought you knew something that no one else knew.
Squeezing the limes and making stirring it. Felt like I was killing it.
Yeah, and then vodka, like, again, maybe I'm out of touch. Who the hell, do people drink vodka, man?
I don't.
They don't.
That. Generally speaking, if somebody puts a bottle on the table, it's a tequila, as far as I see.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that still enjoy vodka, but it's more moved towards tequila.
DJ culture, you mentioned it, right? So again, when we were coming up, it was like, well, there was a shift that you were actually a part of at Provocateur, but in the beginning it was like, oh shit, Mark's DJing here, oh shit, this person's DJing here, and open format DJing was like everything, right? Like people were going to hip hop clubs, they were playing everything, they'd mix like a mashup with some rock shit. And then Provocateur seemed to be at this like switch over a bit of like dance music. And then it felt like that was everything, right? Those DJs became the biggest in the world, and they still do. Those are the ones that make the big money. It doesn't feel like those celebrity DJ that I was so involved in earlier in my career, which is crazy because at one point, like, that was the star, right? Like, I mean, I had a whole Times article written about celebrity DJ culture and being a manager behind these people. I read my quotes in that article and it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing the things I was saying. But there are no more of those people, right? That Mark Ronson, that DJ AM. Does that exist anymore?
No, it's funny. Mark just DJ'd something for us at Submersive the other night, and it was like people were loving it.
Yeah,
it
I
was
saw
like
that.
it was like such a unique thing.
And he was playing vinyl again, by the way.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like people were really, really enjoying it. It was kind of like a throwback thing. But no, there's not really too much of that. You see, really, the culture is these big, electronic house DJs. I think when Provocateur at those times, I was like 2009, 2010. That was on the rise. Then everybody kind of started doing it, and I think then hip hop had like a comeback with after that, about 7-8 years after that, and then everything became hip hop. And I feel like just based on, and I love hip hop, I'm not hating on it at all, but I do feel it's gotten a little like everything sounds the same, and that's kind of dropping now a little bit. And then electronic music is coming back, where everybody's following these DJs, wants to hear the mixes they're doing, and people are following them around. You see a huge rise in people like the Kind Music and Rompa and those kind of groups, where it's not even like crazy electronic music. It's just smooth. Smooth music you can like just chill to.
Yeah.
So I think those things are a real cool aspect of that type of music now that's coming into play and really becoming big as well.
Because if you ask somebody like that was part of the convo, right, back then, like asking who's there.
Oh yeah, if AM was there, if AM was DJing somewhere, everyone went to it.
Yeah.
And you were like, what mix is he gonna play next? What's he gonna play with this song? Like,
yeah,
he would do a mix that night. You'd be like, everyone would go crazy about.
Yep.
It was a very, very unique, special time to have that and be actually be part of those.
That was an incredible time. And then with that also, it felt like celebrity culture meant more back then as well, right? And I think you hear this in general, right? Like people have no idea who the big movie stars are anymore, right? Some of the biggest actors or actresses could walk in and people don't react the same way. It's like streamers and it's influencers and models that have a big brand name. But have you seen that shift too? Like the way nightlife was like when Leo was in the room or Jay was in the room at One Oak, like it somehow spread around the city and everyone ran over to the venue and that was the spot. Has that changed as well? Like, is that not as important, or people still just jumping and resonating with that?
I think there's certain celebrities that if they touch your place, it's golden. I mean, Taylor Swift can change a room. Someone like a Drake can change a room. Those guys are names that kind of like move the needle. So Jay, of course, still.
Yep.
Jay's anywhere.
Yep.
It's a movie.
Yep.
So I think there are certain things, but I think because of social media and how much press there is around these people's lives, you see them so much. You see them coming out, going shopping with their kids with no makeup on. They become more human.
Yeah.
Whereas like if we had a big night in the city on a Thursday night and we got some giant celebrity, Madonna, let's say, and she was there, it was like front page of Page 6. It was bigger than life. Yeah. Now you get to see Madonna, if she's coming out of somewhere like, and she doesn't even want to be seen and be photographed, and it kind of brings them into like a human level where they're like, oh, they're just like me.
Yep.
They weren't looked at just like me, 20 years ago. They were looked at as like, when Michael Jackson was somewhere, when Prince was somewhere, it changed everything. Yeah. So I think because we see them so much on our phones and everyone's so stuck into seeing all this stuff, it makes it more mundane and more normal.
Yeah, and it also was like a bit of a shift. Like, you can't redo a time, right? Yeah. Like when Uptown and Downtown all came together, where like you would have models and hip hop stars in the room, and then Tommy Hilfiger could walk in. Totally different time.
Yeah, it was. I know we always say this because we're older, but it really was a special time. Yeah. And even looking back on all the crazy parties and different events I've been a part of and things I've done, and there's been some amazing things that we've all got to experience. It was partial because we were young and we weren't, we were kind of coming into that, but it was a unique situation where you could walk into certain places and see 10 of the biggest names you've ever heard of in a room where you've only seen them like in the newspaper once. Yeah. And they'd be sitting at a table next to you, and that was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, how am I here?
And that's when Page 6 had like so much weight, where like if you got them in the room, you were quickly making sure that by the morning that shit was running in the paper.
Yeah.
When you think back then to like all of these venues, Bungalow, Lot 61, Stereo at its heyday, give me your five, like the iconic five, the five that like if you could turn back time and be inside one of those places again, you would choose.
I would say Bungalow 8 would be number one, just because I had no business. I was a poor Long Island kid. I had no business being there. But that getting in there was insane. That was incredible. So shout out to Amy Sacco for having that space. I would say Butter would probably be number 2 for me, because Butter Monday nights changed my thinking on everything. There's another one that's a little bit of an audible that you probably wouldn't expect, is Central Fly's the first place I got into downstairs with Noel, when Noel Ashman was doing the downstairs on Saturday night. And that was the original place where I'd never seen anything like that.
Central Fly, I haven't heard that in ages.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that was the one that really like made me want to do nightlife. Marquee, when it first opened, was an incredible space. They did things that were really, really special. And then the other one I would say is Suede. Suede on Tuesday nights. Suede was one of those places where, you know, again, I got to get into a place where, again, I shouldn't have been.
That was Aton?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Yeah, that's crazy. I hadn't heard Suede or Central Fly in a long time.
Yeah, those. I know they might not be like the hottest places, but they had their moments.
Oh, hell yeah.
They had their nights for sure.
Yep.
And then also, it was just like, for me, at the age of, 18, 19, 20, to be in them and seeing, when Justin was dating Cameron, and like those days of being like, again, you never saw those people. I if you went to a show, they were a giant stadium and they were this big. You walk into a room that's this size and got to be in a room, mixed up with them was a really, really cool thing to feel.
No Lotus?
Oh, Lotus, I didn't get into much. Frank, I wasn't friends with Frank yet, but Sunday nights at Lotus was incredible. That's actually the first time I got to see AM.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did Sunday night there one night, and I went, and that was pretty special.
I feel like AM is like, it's mythical, right? Like anyone that was there when he was alive and in that era, like talks about it like you really wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
It was different.
It was.
Before we go, tell me, right, so you talked about it, and exactly like I said earlier on, right, it's at 20 and 30s where you're like, you may be out one night with the most powerful people in the world, and then first thing in the morning, you're checking your bank account statement and your credit card statement because you're like, why do I not have money? And that's the hustle, that's the grind, right? And you keep doing it, then you get over the hump, and you're over the hump now, and you've become a made man, and you've built this incredible business. You obviously, like with Michael, built like one of the most legendary parties of all time in the White Party. But what now, as you've gotten here, becomes the new focus, right? So now you have to kind of reset those goals and create this new North Star. So what have you kind of set up for yourself for like the next 5, 10?
I think one of the major things, especially with people that are in hospitality, is they never adapt. They kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit, and they don't know how to get to that next tier where it's like, what do I do next? So I always want to be in hospitality. I love it. I enjoy it. It's something that I want to be embedded in forever and I want to be part of. But for me now, it's kind of expanding it into other businesses and other realms, different investments, different things, different sides of the business that I can be a part of. And that's what I've kind of been focusing on more, where, you let the hub be the entertainment side, and having the hospitality stuff is great, keeps you relevant, keeps everybody coming, wanting to be around you and be part of it. And then taking that and learning how to build other businesses with it, whether it's, I'm working with a credit card company called Atlas that I'm helping build their brand and things like that. Anything, honestly, Michael Rubin asked me to do or touch, I will gladly do, because
blindly put the money in.
Whatever whatever he tells me to do, I'll do also. But things like that are unique to a situation where you can kind of take your life from doing well, being relevant, being cool, whatever it is, but also now taking it to that next step where you're hitting that next tier.
Yeah.
Similar to what you did.
Yeah, well, that's the key is you got to build that center of that economy, and that's what you hustle and grind for. And then when that brand has value, you build off of it, build around it. Well, you've done an incredible job, bro. As a friend, I love watching it. I always tell you, right? I always tell you. I love telling my friends when I'm watching it because I want you to tell me too.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you, man. It's only fitting that we're at Zero Bond. Thank you for being the first of our deep dives into the hospitality world.
I feel honored. Thank you very much.
Of course, on Boardroom. Tune in, go to boardroom.tv, subscribe, download, check out Will Makris. The best is yet to come. Peace.